I'm Dr. Vibha Sharma, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Public Administration, MCM Devi College, Chandigarh. Today, we will study about state administration, that is module number 4. Objectives of this module are to learn about the governor at the state level, the powers, position and role of the governor, appointment of the chief minister, the powers, position and role of the chief minister of the state, as well as the chief secretary at the state level. The Constitution of India provides for a federal government in which we have separate powers for the central and the state governments. The state government is headed by a governor as a constitutional or a nominal ruler, as well as the chief minister who is the real head of the state. The chief minister is helped by his council of ministers in running the administration of the state. Besides, he is also helped by the chief secretary who is the head of the administrative wing at the state level. Now let us study the governor at a state level. The governor is appointed by the President of India. He holds his office at the pleasure of the President of India. Qualifications. For the post of the governor, a person is required to be the citizen of India. He should not be less than 35 years of age and he should not be holding any office of profit under the central, state or local government. The term of the governor normally is 5 years. The governor can be given a second or a third term. There is no limit on the number of terms a governor can be reappointed. But he holds his office at the pleasure of the president. That means that even before the expiry of his term of 5 years, he may be shifted from a state or may be removed from the position of the governor. Now let us discuss the powers and functions of a governor at the state level. The governor is responsible for carrying out all the executive functions at the state level with the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister at the state level. The governor appoints the Chief Minister and the Council of Ministers on the advice of the Chief Minister at the state. He is also responsible for appointing the Chairman of the State Public Service Commission, the Chief Election Commission at the state level, and other such high dignitaries at the state level. He is also responsible for recommending President's rule at the state level if the constitutional machinery of the state fails. The legislative powers of the governor. Now let us discuss the legislative powers. The governor can summon, prorogue the state legislature. He is the one who can dissolve the state legislative assembly if the situation so demands. He has a right to address both the houses of the state legislature after each election and as well as in the first session of the state legislature, that is the budget session. The governor gives his assent to various bills after they are passed by the state legislative assembly. These bills include ordinary bills as well as the finance bills. In the case of ordinary bill, he can refuse to sign and send the bill back to the state legislature, but if the state legislature passes the bill again with or without any amendment, he has to sign the bill. The governor can also reserve a bill for the consideration of the President of India. In case the state legislature is not in session and there is a need to form a law, the governor can promulgate ordinances for that particular period. Of course, the ordinances will have to be ratified by the state assembly later on. The reports of the State Finance Commission, State Election Commission, and other state level bodies are caused to be laid in front of the state legislature by the governor of the state. Let us now proceed to the financial powers of a governor. The first financial power is causing the budget of the state government to be laid in front of the state legislature. He is also responsible for giving a prior permission for the introduction of a money bill by the state government. No demand for grant can be made by the government without the permission of and the recommendation of the governor at the state level. Besides this, he also constitutes a state finance commission after every 5 years for distribution of taxes and other such resources between the rural local bodies and the urban local bodies with the state government. The governor is also responsible for giving his consent on taking money out of the contingency fund of the state to meet unforeseen circumstances. The judicial powers of the governor include granting of pardons or reducing the sentence of the people who are lodged in jails, but he cannot reduce the death penalty, that is the exclusive purview of the President of India. The governor is consulted on the appointment of the judges to the High Court of a particular state. He also makes appointments, postings and promotions to district judges in consultation with the High Court. Let us now discuss the discretionary powers of the governor. These discretionary powers of the governor tend to be slightly controversial. The governor of a state can appoint a chief minister in case there is no clear-cut majority on the floor of the house. He can also dissolve the state legislative assembly if, in his opinion, the state's constitutional machinery is not functioning well as the state government has lost majority on the floor of the house. Another discretionary power of the governor includes seeking information from the chief minister and other ministers regarding the administrative and legislative matters of the state. In the case of dismissal of Council of Ministers, he has a role to play. And he can also advise the President for proclaiming President's rule under Article 356 at the state level. Another discretionary power of the governor includes a reservation of a bill of the state government for the consideration of the President, and the President has absolute veto power in this case. Conclusions. The governor of a state, as we see, is a nominal head, that is a constitutional head to guide the chief minister and his council of ministers in running the administration of the state. Of course, the governor cannot take a decision on any matter except on the advice of the council of ministers and the chief minister at the state level. Chief Minister of a state. The chief minister is the real head at the state level, governor being the nominal head. The chief minister is appointed by the governor at the state level. The governor, while appointing the chief minister, has to invite the leader of the majority party or the majority group to form the government and become the chief minister of the state. The term of the chief minister? The term of the chief minister is 5 years, but he holds his office if he has the confidence of the House. In case he loses the confidence of the House and is unable to run the government, then the governor of the state may dismiss the chief minister of that particular state. Let us now discuss the functions of the chief minister. As soon as the chief minister is appointed, he is asked to form the Council of Ministers. So, the first work of the chief minister is to constitute his ministry. While constituting his ministry, the chief minister of a state keeps in mind the seniority as well as the experience of the people whom he will include in his council of ministry. The second work is to distribute portfolios to the ministers he has so appointed. Again, while distributing the portfolios, he keeps in mind the interests of the people whom he is including as his cabinet ministers, ministers of state, or deputy ministers, as well as their seniority. In case the chief minister feels that the person who has been appointed as the minister is unable to perform his work, then the chief minister can change his portfolio. And not only that, he can reshuffle the whole ministry in case of a requirement. Yes, while keeping in mind the various requirements of the state government, he may do so. In case a minister is not working well, he can also ask the governor of the state to dismiss a particular minister. The chief minister of the state is also the leader of the cabinet and the council of ministers. As a leader, he is responsible for running the entire state level government. The chief minister is the link between the governor and the council of ministry. It is his duty to keep the governor informed of all the decisions that are undertaken by his government. The chief minister of a state is also the leader of the state legislative assembly, and as a leader, he is responsible for preparing the agenda of the meetings of the assembly. The chief minister is also the link between the people of a state as well as his government. It is his duty to inform the people about the decisions undertaken by his government. The chief minister of the state also has an important role to play in the financial matters at the state level, as he, being the head of the cabinet, is responsible for major financial decisions of his government. Another part of the chief minister is to advise the governor on the dissolution of state legislative assembly. Of course, in this case, the governor, exercising his discretionary powers, may not accept the advice of the chief minister of a particular state. The chief minister is also considered as the leader at the state level. It is he to whom people look towards in case there is any requirement at the state level. Conclusions. The chief minister of the state is the real head at the state level. All the powers which are exercised by the state government in the name of the governor of the state are actually exercised by the chief minister and the council of ministry at the state level. Council of Ministers. As stated earlier, the state administration includes the governor of the state, the chief minister, as well as the council of ministers headed by the chief minister. The council of ministers includes cabinet ministers, ministers of state, as well as deputy ministers. The senior-most ministers are the ones who form the cabinet ministers. They are assisted by ministers of state, and you have the deputy minister to assist either the cabinet ministers or the ministers of state. The most important portfolios at the state level are handled by the cabinet ministers. The Council of Ministers remain in power under the leadership of the Chief Minister till they have the confidence of the State Legislative Assembly or 5 years. The size of the Council of Ministers. As per the 91st Constitutional Amendment Act, the size of the Council of Ministers cannot exceed 15% of the strength of the House at the state level. So, now we don't have jumbo cabinets, and the cabinets are restricted to 15% of the strength of the House. Cabinet. Cabinet is the most important constituent of the Council of Ministers. As stated earlier, it includes the senior ministers at the state level who are looking after the most important portfolios of the government. The cabinet ministers, as stated earlier, hold office for a period of 5 years or till the Council of Ministers have confidence of the House. It is a small body consisting of 15 to 18 members who are senior most as well as closest to the Chief Minister of the state. The main functions of the cabinet include policy making. Most of the policies are made by the cabinet ministers, then put in front of the cabinet meetings where they are passed in front of the Chief Minister as well as the other ministers. The administration at the state level is run by the cabinet ministers since they are the ones who are heading most of the important portfolios. Not only this, the cabinet ministers are also responsible for finalizing the budget prepared by the finance minister at the state level. Most of the lawmaking functions, that is the legislative functions at the state level, are also looked after by the Council of Ministers, and in them the cabinet ministers. The cabinet ministers are the ones who bring the bills to form laws in the State Legislative Assembly. Besides this, they also look after in bringing coordination amongst various ministries at the state level. Now let us see what are the principles of the cabinet system. The main principles of the cabinet system include collective responsibility to the State Legislative Assembly. That is, in case the Council of Ministers lose the confidence of the House, the entire Council of Ministers has to resign. So this is collective responsibility. Individually, each cabinet minister as well as the Council of Ministers is responsible for his functioning to the governor at the state level. Another principle of the cabinet system is the principle of intra-cabinet responsibility. If something is decided at the cabinet level, then whatever be the individual opinion of a minister, he has to justify his actions in front of the State Legislative Assembly as well as at other such places. Besides these principles, the cabinet is also following the principle of secrecy, and the cabinet ministers are not allowed to disclose anything to anyone who is unauthorized to have such an information. Technically, as far as possible, the cabinet should be a homogeneous body, but due to the coalition form of government prevalent in the country at these times, we normally see a heterogeneous form of cabinet with its subsequent problems. And the principle is that in the case of the cabinet, the leadership is that of the Chief Minister of the state, who is also the link between the cabinet as well as the governor at the state level. Conclusions. Previously, we studied about the governor of the state, and we said that the governor of the state works on the advice of the Council of Ministers, headed by the Chief Minister. Then we studied the Chief Minister of the state, and now, after studying the Council of Ministers, we come to an understanding that the Council of Ministers, consisting of the Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, and Deputy Ministers, are the real executive at the state level under the overall guidance of the Chief Minister of the state. Chief Secretary. The Chief Secretary is the administrative head at the state level. He is an IS officer who is the senior most civil servant at the state level. At this position, the Chief Secretary is appointed by the Chief Minister in consultation with the Public Service Commissions. Since the Chief Minister has a role, at times there are political considerations also while appointing the Chief Secretary at the state level. But his seniority, his merit, and other service conditions, his abilities to perform at that level are taken into consideration by the Chief Minister while appointing a person on the position of the Chief Secretary. The Chief Secretary has an important role to play at the state administration level. He is in charge of all the secretaries in the State Secretariat. The Chief Secretary performs the role of the Secretary to the Cabinet at the state level. During the meetings of the Cabinet, he sits close to the Chief Minister and advises the Chief Minister or provides any other information that the Chief Minister or his Council of Ministers require for taking the decisions at the state level. The Chief Secretary, being the senior most civil servant, is also responsible for bringing coordination at the state level amongst all the different ministries at the state level. The Chief Minister is primarily advised in carrying out his activities by the Chief Secretary at the state level. He also advises on matters of other Council of Ministers regarding finance, administration, and other such related matters. The Chief Secretary at the state level also has an important role to play in the personal administration at the state level. He has a role in manpower planning, in guiding the junior officers in performance of their work, in writing their annual confidential reports, in placing them at positions where they can give their utmost. He also has a role in manpower planning at the state level. The Chief Secretary, while performing the role of a coordinator, is in contact with all the secretaries of the ministries at the state level. During periodic meetings at the State Secretariat, he tries to coordinate the activities so that the entire Council of Ministers functions in a cohesive manner along with the Chief Minister of the state. Being the head of the State Secretariat, he is also responsible for allotting rooms and other such matters to the different secretaries as well as the ministers at the state level. The Chief Secretary has an important role to play in planning at the state level. He is responsible for the 5-year plans earlier and the state level planning in the current times. He is the one who requires and gets the data, and on the basis of the data, he advises the Chief Minister regarding the planning, developmental planning, as well as social welfare planning at the state level. He has an important role to play in the crisis management at the state level. In case there is a natural calamity or any man-made calamity, he is the one who energizes the entire state level administration in coming up and dealing with the calamity. Conclusions. Chief Secretary of the state is basically the person around whom the entire state administration runs. It is this bureaucratic position which enables the chief minister by giving him information and advice to run the state government in a smooth way. The chief secretary, being an officer from the IAS, is trained to handle the various tasks which are given to him at the state level.